Sup, you beautiful bastards? Hope you're having a fantastic Monday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing we have to talk about today is this insane story in the news around British model Chloe Ayland. Chloe agrees to a photo shoot set up by her agent, and it's in Milan, so she goes and flies there. So she arrives on July 10th, and then on July 11th, when she goes to the apartment where the photo shoot is supposed to take place, she's reportedly attacked and kidnapped by two men. Chloe said in a statement, "A person wearing black gloves came from behind and put one hand on my neck and one on my mouth to stop me from screaming. A second person wearing a black balaclava gave me an injection in my right forearm. I think I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was wearing a pink bodysuit and the socks I'm wearing now. I realized I was in the boot of a car with my wrists and ankles handcuffed, adhesive tape on my mouth. I was inside a bag and was only able to breathe through a small hole." And police released this photo to recreate and show how she was transported. Chloe was then taken to a cabin in a remote town. There, she was handcuffed to a wooden chest for a week. Chloe saying it looked like there were four men involved and they threatened to kill her if she tried to flee. And so the question for Chloe, of course, became, what are they going to do to me? Are they going to kill me? And it appears the kidnappers had two plans. One, they wanted her agent to pay a $300,000 ransom. And two, if he didn't pay that ransom, they said they were going to sell her on the dark web. The men even taking compromising photos of her and putting them online to auction her off. Chloe saying one of her captors told her she would most likely be trafficked to the Middle East. And they said once this man became bored of her, he would probably throw her to the tigers. So what happened? Well, luckily Chloe is safe now, but it wasn't because the ransom was paid. There wasn't some amazing rescue. According to Chloe, one of the kidnappers said that they made a mistake in kidnapping her because she was a mother. And because Chloe was a mother to a young child, this went against the group's rules. At that point, Chloe says they removed the handcuffs, allowed her to walk on the premises. Chloe posting photos of her child on her Instagram may have actually saved her life here. And on July 17th, one of the captors brought her to the British consulate in Milan. And the man who was arrested was 30-year-old Lukasz Herba, a Polish national who lives in the UK. He confessed to the kidnapping. And according to a few reports coming out now, Chloe allegedly knew Herba. According to a source, she had met him on a previous photo shoot in April. Now, after the fact, Italian media has been speculating that this might have all been a big scam, that it was more the threat that they were going to auction off this girl and not that they actually would. But you also have Italian investigators establishing that the suspect had already set up previous auctions, and in those auctions referring to the kidnapped girls as prey. But police have also said it is unclear if the suspect just made up those girls or they're real. And I have to say, one of the things that's most confusing to me is that the investigators said that this took months of planning, that there was an elaborate plot to kidnap this model, but at no time in their research did they see that she was a mom? This doesn't make any sense. But at the end of all of this, it seems like we have a happy ending, or as much of a happy ending as you can have with a kidnapping. Chloe's safe, an arrest has been made, and the police are still looking into the situation. And then let's talk about some of the outrage around the new Death Wish trailer. The movie's directed by Eli Roth, it stars Bruce Willis, and the movie's description, according to IMDb, is a mild-mannered father is transformed into a killing machine after his family is torn apart by a violent act. Essentially, Bruce Willis is a doctor whose wife and daughter are victims of a home invasion. Wife dies, daughter is seriously injured. And when police say there's nothing they can do, he takes the law in his own hands and becomes a vigilante. And after the trailer came out, there were a lot of people shouting that this was alt-right propaganda, that this was fascist, that it was racist. Some of the reactions including Alan Zilberman, who said Eli Roth's Death Wish remake is so nakedly fascist that alt-righters will have an erection before the trailer ends. Adam Best writing, angry old white man becomes an armed vigilante against Chicago civilians. That's a dangerous message. Is Death Wish alt-right fan fiction? Understand, it's a remake of a 1974 movie based on a novel, but the original took place in New York City. Moving it to Chicago now seems irresponsible. Another writing, moving it to Chicago is basically code for let's shoot black people. And as far as Eli Roth's response to all of this controversy around this movie he directed, TMZ tracked him down and this happened.
Being criticized for being like an alt-right fantasy fascist, etc. Was that your intent?
No, it was not. But you know, I gotta say, it's just the alt-right amount of controversy because that was the #1 trending video on YouTube this morning.
And I have to say personally, I love that response. That quick on-the-street video goes on for about another minute and a half, and he hits a lot of the points that I was going to make here. I mean, I have to ask, to the people that are calling this movie racist, did you even watch the trailer? One, his family appears to be attacked by white people. Then it features him beating down and killing a white guy. Then it does show Bruce Willis shooting one black guy. But you see just 7 seconds before that it looks like the reason he does that is because that guy that he shot a small black child, so he's doing this so that this guy doesn't shoot kids again. Then boom, he shoots another white guy. And you have a black man and a black woman in the back of an ambulance. The woman says, he saved us.
He saved my life.
And he goes, another white guy. And so I really don't know how people look at that trailer and they go, well, that's racist. What, because it stars Bruce Willis, who is an old white man who's bald? If anything, considering the ethnicity split in Chicago, it looks like Eli Roth has gone out of his way to cast as many white bad guys as possible. It seems like the majority. And it doesn't appear to be about race at all. It appears to be good versus evil despite vigilante justice not being something I'm like, yeah, you should do. And of course, finally, we have to remind ourselves we don't have the full context because this is just a trailer. We don't know how similar or different this movie is. They changed the main character from an architect to now Bruce Willis is a doctor. And that's probably so they can play some angle where they're like, he saves life and then he takes life. I don't know, I'm just saying maybe let's wait to fully see what it is that it is before we hate it. Or don't, that is also an option that many people employ. But the question I want to pass off to you is, what is your takeaway from this? Do you think the movie's racist, alt-right propaganda, anything? Or do you agree with an argument I've seen that we're past the time of vigilante justice movies? And also, if it's people getting angry over the idea of a white guy and vigilante justice, why is this seemingly getting so much more negative press than, let's say, The Punisher? Let me know what you're thinking. But from that, I want to share some stuff I loved today, and today in Awesome brought to you by squarespace.com/Phil. Squarespace, of course, a fantastic place to make a beautiful website with their intuitive and easy to use all-in-one platform. We're talking nothing to install, patch, or upgrade ever. And if you want to make the smart move like many from the nation already have, start your free trial, go to squarespace.com/Phil, and if you really like it, use coupon code Phil for 10% off your first purchase. And the first bit of awesome comes from a YouTuber by the name of Captain Disillusion. He did a fantastic video on trick shot videos. Then we got a season 3 trailer for Mr. Robot. It just looks like it's getting darker and darker, and this is easily one of my favorite series to come out in the past few years. I am so excited for this to come back in October. Then for those of you in the mood for something not so normal, I'm just gonna share this video from Marvel Studios. It's called Guardians Inferno. It has David Hasselhoff in it, and I don't want to show you much of it. I feel like it's something you need to just experience. Then I really wanted to share this fascinating video that was released on Vimeo. It's called Jim Carrey, I Need Color, and it's just this short 6-minute video showing Jim Carrey painting. It features Jim Carrey talking about why he paints, it shows off some of his work, and it's just this really interesting side I had never seen from him before. Then for fans of Game of Thrones, if you loved last night's episode, HBO released a 13-minute featurette on how they shot that episode. Of course, if you're not caught up, keep in mind there are obvious spoilers, but if you're all caught up, very cool to check out. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. And then let's talk about the very odd update around Mary Beth Hagler. And if you're wondering why Mary seems familiar, it's because she is a now former teacher who had a sex scandal. She was fired from her job for having an inappropriate relationship with a 17-year-old boy. She was then arrested for sexual exploitation by a counselor, therapist, or school employee. And Mary even admits that she had sex with him, even saying she probably had sex with him a few hundred times. So then the story went away for a while, and then we had a big update. Mary Beth, now no longer a teacher, became an exotic dancer. Crime Watch found her working at a gentleman's club by the name of Woody's, going under the name Bambi. They also recorded video of the student she had sex with going into Woody's. This, despite there being a court order preventing her from seeing him until November 14th. They also discovered a video of her crying and saying that there were only a few more weeks until he turned 18, where she reportedly said, and then we can finally be together, adding, I love you, my lobster. And the most recent update to this story is Mary Beth has now jumped into porn. And when it comes to porn, hear what I say. If you want to do whatever with your body and you want to share that with the world, fine. I'm not about slut shaming, which actually, by the way, side note, to Cenk from the Young Turks, I have to ask, how little of a man are you? I saw the former porn star Jenna Jameson tweeting, just watch Ben Shapiro destroy Cenk at Politicon on YouTube. Seriously, Ben, please run for president. Which Cenk responded, I remember watching you getting destroyed too. Granted, I think Jenna Jameson, to use a term my grandmother would use to be nice, is somewhat of a Looney Tune often. The fact that he would respond to a criticism by pointing to her porn career, it tells you a lot about the person and the argument. I thought progressives frowned on slut shaming. But back to the story at hand here, Mary Beth jumps into porn, and it's one of the weirdest, creepiest things, not because she does it, but because she does it while joking about having sex with the underage student. They actually go and visit the park where she banged this kid. Then they're having sex in the car, and if you are to trust the video that we are given, they say that they're shooting this the same day that she is to be sentenced, which was February 17th. So if that was real, she shot a porn, then was dropped off at the courthouse and received a 90-day sentence. When you kind of just summarize the situation, what you have is a person, Mary Beth, has somehow successfully monetized having had sex with a 17-year-old student of hers. Yeah, that's something. There's no real out to that story, just kind of a disgusted feeling. And then let's talk about Trump news, and I mean that both in news about Donald Trump and also the weekly news segment that Trump releases on his social media. This is a new thing, and people are obviously having some different reactions. Last week, the segment and video was hosted by Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, and there she talked about the president donating his salary, Trump honoring men and women who saved lives during the congressional baseball shootings, and his plans to crack down on gangs. Now, this first video came out, and there were people saying, yes, finally real news, and critics arguing that the point Lara Trump made here, that people weren't talking about these stories, was wrong. The mainstream outlets did talk about stories she said they ignored, like Donald Trump donating his salary, like Foxconn planning to build a plant in Wisconsin, and they pointed out that this Trump news, this real news show, didn't talk about the other things that had happened this week, specifically the Obamacare repeal failing. Also, for some reason, didn't mention Donald Trump saying that transgender people are banned from the military. But then something interesting happened over the weekend. Donald Trump released another video, this time not hosted by Lara Trump, but instead this time this Trump news video was hosted by Kayleigh McEnany. And that name might sound familiar because she is a now former CNN correspondent. She's one of the people you'd always see on CNN defending Donald Trump, giving a different point of view. But now no longer. It appears that she asked CNN to be let go, and she tweeted, "While I have enjoyed my time at CNN, I will be moving to a new role. Stay tuned next week." And boom, next thing you know, she is hosting this Trump news segment on the president's Facebook page. And this time McEnany covered news like the July jobs report, the RAISE Act, and Donald Trump's presentation of the Medal of Honor. And just like Lara Trump did, she signed off by saying,
"And that is the real news."
And of course, once again, there were different reactions. There were some that supported him, as you saw in the comments. The left is whining about the president using social media because they don't want Trump communicating directly with us. They want us to be sheep to the fake news. Another writing, "I have never realized how good it is to have a president bring this kind of communication to his people." But on the other side, you had people saying that this just looks like propaganda. Evan McMullen tweeting, "This is the type of propaganda you'd see in North Korea. It erodes the people's ability to discern truth and hold government accountable." And Michael McFaul, the former US ambassador to Russia, tweeted, "Wow, feels eerily like so many state-owned channels I've watched in other countries." So that's the story, that's some of the reaction from it, and I have to say personally, this creeps me the hell out. I understand why the president wants to directly talk to his base and why he puts things directly out there. I understand why they would even put up a video talking about all the positive things coming from this administration. But then to say that this is not only news, but this is the real news, as if to say that everything else is not real, that these stories that mainstream media outlets have covered are not getting coverage, and that's why we're sharing it. It's disingenuous, and it just comes off like pro-Trump propaganda. And it's interesting to me that they would still release this video of "this is what the real news is" in the same week that Donald Trump was exposed for lying. He said the fake news media was lying about his horrible call with Turnbull, saying it was BS, that he said that this was the worst call he had all day. Boom, transcript gets leaked, he's exposed for lying in a tweet where he said someone else was lying. I try to give this man administration the benefit of the doubt, but when it is right in front of you, how can you ignore it? That's why I get so annoyed by outlets and people that take unwarranted swings on the president. So you have all this documentation of the bad shit he's done, and you're over here touting some false stuff about how he's rude to children. And because you're swinging wild over here, he and his people just focus on that, not on the legitimate things. And then you've got them releasing videos like this. Oh, and actually, update to this story. McEnany has now officially been given the position of RNC spokesperson. The RNC officially announcing that today on the official GOP Twitter account. That is a huge jump for her, and to me, it kind of seems like the further Trumpification of the Republican Party. Very interesting move, and it'll be interesting to see what happens from here. And that's actually where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you like this video, you like what I do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you missed the last Philip DeFranco show, you want to catch up, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to see today's new behind the scenes vlog, click or tap right there to watch that. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.